Alright, as you can see, Winter Storm Quincy is going to be bringing over a foot of snow to some places in the Northeast. That's not the only thing going on in the weather forecast. We've got some severe thunderstorms building into the southeast and mid-Atlantic, and then actually another snowstorm building in behind Quincy. We're going to be talking about all of that throughout this video, but first let's see what's going on in the Northeast right now. You can see this is about 7 a.m. on Monday morning, and some snow is starting to fill into the Northeast. See, northeastern Pennsylvania, as well as majority of central New York, is getting a little dusting of snowfall. And this really isn't the bulk of the storm yet. You're going to start to see Quincy move up the coast right here, and as it does, it's going to check the two boxes for what you need for a good northeast snowstorm. There's going to be moisture being pulled in, and cold air being pulled down, combining to put over a foot of snow into some places. You can see really by 1 p.m. today, this is 1 p.m. Monday, some of those heavier snowfall rates start to show up in northern Pennsylvania as well as western New York. And then Massachusetts and Connecticut actually starting to pick up some snow at about 1 p.m. today. Something to notice though, along the coastline, it's really just rain for majority of places along the coast, and that's because their temperatures are moderated by the warm Gulf Stream. But you can see there's some heavy snowfall building into Vermont, New Hampshire, some parts of northern Massachusetts by about 7 p.m. tonight. So that's really when the bulk of this thing's hitting. Winter Storm Quincy, you can see it right there moving up the coast. And what that's going to do is the winds around a low are counterclockwise, so you have the winds pushing in moisture right here and then pulling down cold air on the left side of the low. That's going to combine, and you see some really nice snowfall rates for Vermont, New Hampshire, northern Massachusetts. That's about 0.2 inches per hour. That's pretty good. And you'll notice right where you see those heavy snowfall rates is exactly where you're going to see the higher accumulations later on. So as we move through to Tuesday at about 1 in the morning, you can see that low is just sitting off of Massachusetts, and then there's a really strong strip of wintry mix going basically along the entire coast. Again, not snow along the coast because the temperatures there are just a little bit above freezing, just a little too warm to get any of that snow. But throughout Monday night into Tuesday morning, all of Maine is still picking up some snow with Quincy. And then by about 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, this low is gone. So it's really a quick hitter for the Northeast. You can see, when did it move in? Moves in, well, right now, Monday at about 7 a.m. And then we get those heavy rates in Vermont and New Hampshire at about 1 p.m. And then it's gone by Tuesday at 7 a.m. So pretty quick hitter, moves through in about 24 hours. But we're going to get some good snowfall with it. It's good to see that this one's actually going to materialize. We're already starting to see it drop some snow, and that's going to just continue throughout the day today into Tuesday morning. The key thing here is, where are the freezing temperatures? Because that's really what's been killing all the Northeast snowstorms recently. The low will be there, the moisture will be there, but then it'll just be too warm. Like, for example, last week with Winter Storm Pearl, there was a pretty significant low moving just north of the Northeast, but places in New York were about 65 degrees. So the key thing you're going to want to look at on this map is where these blue temperatures are, or those blue coloring. That indicates below freezing, and it's a pretty good indicator of where you're going to be picking up snow as this low, Winter Storm Quincy, moves up the coast. So this is moving into kind of this afternoon for the Northeast. This is about 1 p.m. and this low starts to move up, and notice how the coast doesn't really see those blue colorings that indicate the below freezing temperatures. However, throughout eastern New York, all of Vermont, all of New Hampshire, most of Maine, you get the below freezing temperatures. So that's when these areas are going to be picking up those heavy snowfall rates, especially in Vermont and New Hampshire, where you see it's significantly below freezing, possibly into the mid-20s. And as that low moves up, two things are going to happen. Notice these winds. They're counterclockwise around the low, and this is just going to be pushing moisture into New England. While as on the left side of the low, the winds are pulling down cold air up from Canada and the Arctic. So that cold air is going to mix with the moisture and create snow. It's a pretty perfect combination, and that's why some of the best northeast snowstorms are when you get a low just like this one that's just moving right up the coast. Brings in the moisture, brings down the cold air, lots of snow. And let's take a look at when this thing moves off. You can see by this point, this is early Tuesday morning. This really shows the exact same thing as that other map. By early Tuesday morning, it's moved off, and it's too far away to be bringing any more snow to the northeast. So it's really just Monday that this thing is going to be affecting the northeast. And you can see by kind of tonight, the bulk of it hasn't happened yet. This is showing by 7 p.m., majority of the northeast has about 2 to 4 inches. And then really this evening is when the bulk of it really starts to hit. So this is by 7 p.m. tonight. And you can see basically all of northern Pennsylvania, all of New York has about 2 to 4 inches. One little bullseye is picking up 5 to 8 by 7 p.m. tonight. Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Connecticut, you're in probably the 1 to 3 inch range at this point. And then the bullseye of it hits this evening. So then you get those better accumulations. By Tuesday at about 1 a.m., you can see the bulk of the storm hit, and now southern parts of New Hampshire and northern Massachusetts. That's the bullseye of the accumulations right here. Over a foot of snow, possibly 1.5 feet. It'll be interesting to see what ends up actually falling there. And then you can see by Tuesday at about 7 a.m., that's when the storm has moved off, and this is showing the accumulations that have happened in the last 24 hours. So really, New Hampshire and western Maine are getting the bulk of this storm. About 1.5 feet in northern Massachusetts, southern New Hampshire. So that's pretty good to see. And then that moves off. So really, let's click back, see what New York gets with this one. About 5 inches. 2 to 3 on the western parts of the state, but throughout eastern New York, you're in the 2 to 5 inch range, possibly some places working their way above 6. But really, the bulk of this one hits southern New Hampshire, northern Massachusetts, and western Maine. And then the other big story is what this is bringing to the south, southeast, and you can actually see it perfectly on this map. So that's Winter Storm Quincy up here, and you can see there's a band of rain that's really associated with it. This is pulling in moisture from the Gulf of Mexico, and we're getting this strong strip of thunderstorms in the southeast. So let's take a look at that. That builds in. That's another big part of this story. It's not just snow to the northeast. It's also these severe thunderstorms to the southeast. You can see it's really going to build in. Well, actually, this is right now, about 7 a.m. Monday morning. You can see this is about as heavy rainfall as you're ever going to see. That's about 0.5 inches per hour building into Mississippi, Alabama, very northern tip of Georgia as well. The good news about that is this really heavy band of severe thunderstorms and heavy rain doesn't stick around that long. By 1 p.m. today, you're still getting some rain, but it's not these oranges that we saw this morning. So, yeah, there's still some rain throughout the day, but it really dissipates. That's not really going to bring too much action to the southeast. I don't really see a big tornado day, so that's encouraging to see. The other big story that's going to be happening is the storm moving in Wednesday and Thursday. And that's going to bring some severe thunderstorms, heavy rain to the southeast, as well as a little more snow to the northeast. And as it turns out, it's starting in California. You can see that little trough and this low pressure system really sitting over Southern California right now. We got some rain in Northern California yesterday. It's moved south, and then it's going to move across the country. Keep your eyes on this little trough right here. As I click through, it starts to really deepen as it moves into the mid-Atlantic. That's going to bring some severe thunderstorms to the mid-Atlantic, and then it deepens even a little bit more before hitting the northeast. It'll be interesting to see what kind of precipitation the northeast picks up with this one, because as you can see, the temperatures are pretty warm. That's one aspect you need if you want to get snow with a trough like this. So let's look at the precip keep your eye on this rain right here over Southern California. You can see it move into Utah, Colorado, and then Oklahoma. This is by about early Tuesday morning. It's already moved into Oklahoma, and then it really intensifies. The reason it intensifies is it's starting to pull in some moisture from the Gulf of Mexico. And that's really going to strengthen the storm. And as we move through here, you see it's going to bring some severe thunderstorms to Tennessee and Kentucky throughout the day Tuesday. And then it starts to bring in some of that warm, moist air from the Gulf Stream. So it's really getting the combination of first Pacific moisture, then Gulf of Mexico moisture, then Gulf Stream moisture. So that's why there's so much heavy rain and severe thunderstorms associated with this one. It's because it's just pulling in moisture from everywhere. And then you'll see it start to move up the coast into the northeast, and it'll be interesting to see if it does kind of the similar thing as Quincy, where it was able to pull in the cold air too. As of right now, that map's showing mostly rain. Let's take a look at this low moving through the Midwest. I actually haven't looked at that one, and it's because it just moves really far north a little too fast to pick up any snow. So this is moving into Tuesday at about 7 a.m. in the morning, and you're going to see this next system start to move in. See heavy rainfall for parts of Tennessee and Kentucky, and then there's that low. That's the one that moved in from Southern California, and at this point it's starting to bring in that moisture from the Gulf of Mexico. Right around here, it's starting to bring in the moisture from the Gulf Stream. So that's why really Virginia, North Carolina, heavy rainfall throughout the day, Tuesday and into Wednesday morning. That's when this next system's hitting, and then you're going to start to see it move off the coast. And this map, I'll actually go to the northeast so we could talk about the northeast. So that's that new system that's going to be building in from Southern California. It moves in around Wednesday morning at 1 a.m. for the northeast, and you could see some parts of northeastern Pennsylvania going to get a little bit of snow with this one. As you can see, the majority of this system as it first moves in is just rain, and then some select locations in New York could be picking up a little bit of snow at about 1 p.m. on Wednesday. And as this low, we see it move up the coast right here, and then here's where this system kind of goes wrong. It moves straight east. What we want to see happen if you want a bunch of snow in the northeast is this just to hug the New Jersey coast. And as you can see, it doesn't do that. It moves straight east. So it's not able to pull down that cold air and push in the moisture like Quincy is doing right now. There is some snow for the northeast though. If you look at this 24-hour accumulated snowfall by about 1 a.m. on Thursday, places in Pennsylvania could be getting 2 to 4 inches, maybe 5 in the higher elevation places. New York picks up maybe an inch. This is again showing that second system. This isn't Quincy any longer. It's going to be interesting to see what ends up happening with this one. It's not a question of if the forecast models will change, it's how they will change, because I guarantee they will. So if you want to stay updated with this storm, you can subscribe to my channel, Holt Hanley Weather. I do these forecast videos every single morning. In fact, I'm about to film another video really diving into Winter Storm Quincy right now. So you can check out my channel or my forecast playlist for that video. Thanks for watching.